Welcome to Technically Speaking, the show for the technically challenged. Well, if you're anything like me, every time you see an open road, you're just ready to go out exploring. And you've probably had a house full of maps and such. But nowadays, the word map has taken on a whole new meaning. It's not made out of paper anymore. We're going to explore Google Maps on the computer. There are all sorts of things now with Google Maps. For example, all of those roads that they're building right now are going to be immediately on the maps. We can get traffic reports, even the weather, finding out train schedules, and seeing exactly what the terrain and the buildings are going to look like when we get there. So let's explore some Google Maps. Well, since we're going to be exploring, why don't we travel someplace? I'm thinking, how's London? If we're going to go to London, I think we need a little spot of tea before we go on our adventure. Oh, thank you. Perfect for a London adventure. Well, I'm ready to go to London. Let's get on Google Maps. Thanks so much. All you have to do to launch Google Maps is go to google.com/maps. Or if you're on the computer and you type in an address, you'll automatically be brought to Google Maps. So since we are in New York, they've put us directly on New York now. But I'm just going to type here London. London, United Kingdom. And there we are. In order to go in closer, if you see here, there's a plus and a minus. If I click the plus, I will zoom in. If I click the minus, I'll zoom out. You can also just drag this little bar right here and get in nice and close. Some of the other things we could see right here on this screen, I'm just going to click this little arrow just to make it a bit bigger. If you notice over here it says traffic, transit, photos, all sorts of things. Let's see what the traffic is like. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so we can see better. And you're going to notice that all of the roads have turned green, yellow, or red. The green road means good or go. The traffic is moving well. Yellow means eh. And if we look here at these red spots, we can see where the traffic jams in London are right now. Luckily not too bad, but we're going to stay away from whatever this road is over here. If you were thinking of going to London at a different time than right now, one of the features they have with Google Maps is you can actually look at what the traffic is like at a particular time. So, for example, London doesn't have much traffic at this moment. Well, right now in London, it's about midnight. So I'm glad to hear they don't have much traffic. But if I were going to be flying there and I wanted to know what is the traffic like on a typical work day, if you look down here where it says live traffic, I'm going to change from the live traffic. I can ask specifically, what is the traffic like, let's say on a Friday at 5 o'clock. And then I might see some more traffic jams in certain places. This is especially helpful here in New York because you might be guesstimating how long it's going to take you to get to a particular destination. And if you're looking at it at home at 10 o'clock at night, well, certainly all the roads are clear at 10 o'clock at night. But with this little feature, you could change the time, and by changing the time, change the traffic conditions. I think that's a great little feature. But let me just close this. Back here where it said traffic, some of our other options, one is transit. Now if you notice when I hit transit, I'll do it again and take it off. Here's with just our roads, and here's transit. Now they're showing us our subway lines and bus routes and all sorts of things. Well, if you're going to be visiting London or any place else, this is really convenient to have. If I come over here to one of these subway lines, they'll tell me exactly the name of the subway station, and if I click on it, they'll even tell me where it goes and what time the next train is leaving. They'll let me know if the train is on time, so if I have a schedule and they know that the trains are leaving at a different time, it's all being constantly updated. Now that's something that our paper map is never going to be able to do for us. So let's get rid of our bus schedule here, and I'm going to come in a little bit closer. Let's start exploring. I'm going to type up here that I'd like to see Buckingham Palace. There we go, Buckingham Palace. I'm not quite sure where in London that is, so I just typed it in. There we go. If I scroll in, you'll actually see the building taking shape. Now let's say I wanted to meet a friend in front of Buckingham Palace. Now if I've been there before, I might be able to say, meet me by the fence on the main road. But I've never been to Buckingham Palace. But there is a way for me to see exactly what these roads and streets look like. If you look over here at this little figure, Google calls him Pegman. I'm just going to take Pegman and put him on the road here. And now we get what they call street view. I can see exactly what the street looks like. I could spin around. Now this is not what the street looks like at this moment. Remember, it's the middle of the night in London right now. But what Google has done is they've gone down, pretty much every street in the world there is, with a Google truck with a 360-degree panoramic camera on top. And they have driven up and down all of the streets taking these pictures so that we can look at street view. Now this exact picture might have been taken 6 months ago or so. In fact, I remember looking at a picture of my own house and saying, oh, I see I have to do some raking of the leaves. So it's not exactly what it looks like now, but if I needed to meet a friend, I could very comfortably say, oh, I didn't know that there was a gold arch with a statue. Let's meet at the gold arch by the statue. I would have never known that was in front of Buckingham Palace. So street view is a wonderful method. To get out of street view, I'm just going to zoom out. And I'm back to my regular view. So far, we've learned that all I need to do to find any place in the world is to type it into the search bar. Quite frankly, even if you weren't on Google Maps, if I typed it just into a regular search bar, Buckingham Palace, they brought me a little Google map here that I'll click on. Some of the things that we've learned that we can do on Google Maps include getting the traffic report, getting the train and bus schedules. Once all the little train lines have shown up, I can click on it and get the entire train schedule. Another thing that we've learned we can do on Google Maps is, with the traffic, change the time. So that if you're looking at this map at a different time than you'll actually be at the location, you could see what the traffic is going to be like. And finally, on Google Maps, you could take this little man and drag him over. And once you've dragged him over to a road, we could see what it looks like close up. Let's see what this Hyde Park looks like. I've never been there. I'm going to take our little peg man and drag him to one of these roads. And we can get a good look at Hyde Park. Oh, isn't that pretty? We can use the arrows to spin around. They even allow you to look down, look up, and you'll see on the street these arrows if I want to continue forward. Well, just doing those things is like taking a vacation in itself. But if we were really going to go to London, some other things we might want to do is find out the weather. That's one of our choices over here, is to look at the weather. And here is the weather in London right now with a 5-day forecast. Other things I can do is, if I were looking for something in particular, I could search for restaurants, hotels, cafes right here on my map. I can also go with what they call a satellite view. Let's take a look at what that means. Well, that certainly helped. That made a big difference. Let's look at the difference. We have a map view and we have a satellite view. So if you are indeed going to London, you might want to know exactly where things are going to be. and you'll see all of our roads even as we scan out. So we have our roads, we have our train stations, we have our traffic situation, we have our satellite view, we have the train schedules, and we even have the view that our little peg man, if we drag him onto a road, and suddenly we're going to see a close-up of what that area will look like. So if I wanted this spot right over here, I could just drag him here, and here we are in the middle of the park. So if I wanted to meet somebody, or at least be a little familiar before I went on my exploration, I can see that. So if we're doing all that, who even needs to go to London? But one other thing I want to point out that we can do on Google Maps that's very, very helpful is nowadays they also have indoor maps. So let me type in here that I want Heathrow Airport. I'm going to put it back on map. But one of the nice things that you can do is they will actually show you indoors of the airport. I'm going to scan in so we could see the terminal, and even they're showing where the Gucci store is and the food courts and all those kinds of things right there. So this works as a map, but it also works for if you have a connecting flight through London and you need to get through that airport, you'll be able to find one place from another. Now all of these features are also available on the cell phone version. I'm using the computer version right now, but next we're going to be looking at the cell phone version, because if you've got all of these great features, you certainly want to be able to take them with you. So I'm going to have a little tea, and we'll go back and look at our cell phones next.